Russia's air defense is facing its toughest test yet. Ukraine's long-range strikes are hitting deeper, faster, and smarter than ever before, and Moscow is struggling to keep up. Today, we break down exactly why Russia's defenses are failing and what it means next. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into one of the most important military developments of the year, Russia's growing struggle to defend its own territory from Ukraine's increasingly precise and long-range strikes. Over the past months, Ukraine has demonstrated a remarkable ability to bypass or overwhelm Russian air defense systems that were once considered among the most advanced and reliable in the world. This shift has not only created new vulnerabilities inside Russia, but has also exposed major weaknesses in how Moscow deploys, manages, and modernizes its anti-air capabilities. In this video, we'll examine what has changed on the battlefield, why Russia's defenses are failing in ways previously thought impossible, and what this means strategically for both nations. Stay tuned, because each factor tells a bigger story about the future of this conflict and how long-range warfare is being redefined right before our eyes. Ukraine's recent strikes highlight a clear shift in capability and strategy. Early in the war, Ukraine relied heavily on short-range drones and improvised weapons, but today it is fielding advanced systems such as modified long-range drones, Western-supplied missiles, and domestically upgraded weapon platforms. These tools allow Ukraine to hit targets hundreds of miles inside Russia, including air bases, energy infrastructure, and critical command centers. What surprises analysts most is not just the distance, but the precision. Many of these attacks strike exactly the intended targets, something Russia did not anticipate when designing its layered air defense network. Ukraine's improved intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance tools also play a major role, allowing them to map out radar locations, predict patrol routes, and exploit coverage gaps. This evolution in Ukrainian capabilities has turned what used to be a purely defensive struggle into a proactive, long-range operation that challenges Russia's assumptions about its own airspace security. One of the biggest reasons Russia is experiencing trouble is the sheer overstretch of its air defense network. These systems were originally designed to protect key military zones and major cities, not thousands of miles of border and deep internal regions. But Ukraine's expanding strike range forces Russia to spread limited resources across an enormous geographic area. As a result, Moscow often relocates systems like S-300 and S-400 batteries from one region to another, creating temporary blind spots that Ukraine has learned to exploit. The more Russia moves these systems, the weaker overall coverage becomes, and the more predictable certain gaps are. This overstretch is further compounded by the need to protect newly targeted energy infrastructure, oil refineries, and airfields previously considered out of reach. The constant strain reduces reaction time, increases operator fatigue, and pushes the entire network beyond what it was designed to handle, ultimately opening the door for successful Ukrainian strikes. Russia's most famous systems, like the S-300, S-400, and Panzer, were once marketed as highly effective against both aircraft and drones. However, Ukraine has shown that these systems have critical weaknesses, especially against low-flying drones and weapons designed to follow unpredictable paths. Many Ukrainian drones fly extremely low and slow, blending into terrain or using terrain masking techniques that make them difficult for radar to detect. In addition, Ukraine often launches large numbers of low-cost drones simultaneously, forcing Russian operators to decide which threats to engage and which to let pass. The high cost of Russian missiles compared to the low cost of drones also creates an unsustainable defense environment. Every time Russia fires a multi-million-dollar missile at a drone that might cost only a few $1,000s, it loses economically regardless of whether the target is intercepted. This asymmetric disadvantage is becoming one of the most defining elements of the conflict. Electronic warfare has become a silent battleground that significantly reduces Russian air defense effectiveness. Ukraine has deployed increasingly sophisticated jamming, spoofing, and signal manipulation tools that interfere with radar and communication systems. These electronic attacks disrupt tracking, delay response times, and sometimes cause missile guidance failures. Russia also relies on older Soviet-era radar units in many regions, which are far more vulnerable to interference than modern systems. When Ukraine combines jamming with physical attacks, it becomes even harder for Russian operators to react. Some drones are deliberately sacrificed to trigger radar activations, revealing positions so that more precise systems can strike the exposed location. This combination of electronic and kinetic tactics puts Russian defenses in a reactive posture, constantly responding, adjusting, and scrambling to regain control. Over time, this erodes efficiency and creates openings that Ukraine can exploit with growing confidence and strategic precision. Russia's internal structure adds another layer of difficulty. Air defense responsibilities are divided among various branches: the aerospace forces, regional defense units, border security forces, and even civilian authorities in some areas. This fragmentation makes coordination slow and sometimes inconsistent. During sudden drone swarms or missile attacks, the communication chain can experience delays that reduce the ability to respond quickly. A lack of unified real-time monitoring also means that different regions may not share updated threat information, allowing Ukraine to hit targets that should have been protected under an integrated system. Additionally, the Russian military's centralized command style often prevents local units from taking rapid action without higher approval. These bureaucratic delays become critical during fast-moving strikes. The result is a defense network that appears strong on paper but struggles to operate efficiently under real combat pressure, revealing vulnerabilities that Ukraine now exploits with increasing frequency. Another major strain on Russia's air defense capability is the issue of ammunition shortages and maintenance fatigue. High-tech missiles used in systems like the S-300 and S-400 are expensive and difficult to replace quickly. With constant Ukrainian attacks, Russia has been forced to use large numbers of these missiles not only against strategic threats, but also against cheap drones. This creates supply pressure and forces Russia to rotate weapons from other regions, reducing overall national readiness. On top of that, the relentless pace of operations accelerates wear and tear on launchers, radar units, and mobile command vehicles. Crews must remain on high alert for long periods, increasing human error and lowering performance. Maintenance cycles that would normally focus on long-term reliability are now rushed, leading to more frequent technical failures. Over time, this combination of resource depletion and equipment strain significantly weakens Russia's defensive posture. Ukraine's ability to identify weak points inside Russia is also driven by strong intelligence, support from partners, and advanced reconnaissance tools. Satellite imagery, signals intelligence, and open source monitoring help Ukraine pinpoint exact locations of air defense batteries, radar systems, and key military sites. Combined with domestic intelligence networks and real-time battlefield updates, Ukraine can plan strikes with remarkable precision. This intelligence also helps Ukraine understand Russia's movement patterns. When systems are relocated, when radar is deactivated for maintenance, and when operators shift their focus to other threats, these data-driven insights allow Ukraine to strike during periods of reduced coverage or low readiness. The integration of Western intelligence with Ukrainian innovation creates a powerful advantage. It enables Ukraine not only to hit targets effectively, but also to test, map, and analyze Russia's entire defensive structure in ways that continually refine future attacks and expose deeper vulnerabilities. The growing pressure on Russia's air defenses has major strategic implications. First, it forces Russia to invest more resources into protecting territory that was previously considered safe, stretching military budgets and operational focus. Second, successful Ukrainian strikes undermine Russia's domestic perception of security, raising political and social tension within regions hit by attacks. Third, damage to airfields, refineries, and military infrastructure can directly impact Russia's ability to sustain operations on the front lines. Each strike that bypasses defenses represents not just a tactical victory, but a strategic signal, one that challenges Russia's long-standing belief in the strength of its air defense doctrine. For Ukraine, these strikes are a way to offset disadvantages in manpower and traditional firepower. By forcing Russia to defend deeper territory, Ukraine shifts the battlefield away from its front lines and raises the overall cost of the war for Moscow, reshaping the conflict's long-term trajectory. Looking ahead, Russia faces a critical challenge modernizing and reorganizing its air defense network fast enough to adapt to Ukraine's evolving tactics. This will require better coordination, more flexible radar systems, improved electronic warfare resilience, and a larger supply of affordable interceptor weapons. However, these reforms take time that Ukraine is actively using to expand its strike capabilities even further. Meanwhile, Ukraine continues to innovate with longer-range drones, smarter munitions, and advanced reconnaissance. As both sides push technological boundaries, air defense will remain one of the most dynamic and decisive elements of this conflict. The key question is whether Russia can solve its structural weaknesses before Ukraine's reach expands even more. This ongoing struggle will shape the next phase of the war and influence how modern militaries around the world approach long-range threats in the future. If you found this breakdown helpful, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss our latest analysis. Share your thoughts in the comments. What do you think Russia must fix first? Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more.